Alright, so I want you all to take a second and recall a time where you went out of your way for someone who probably didn't deserve it. So, how did you feel? Maybe you don't talk to that person anymore. Maybe you do. Maybe you wanted to say something, but you didn't. And it happens to everybody. It happened to this guy. And what ended up happening after this made him the Gandhi that we know today. So here we go. We're going to talk about who this guy was, if you don't already know who Gandhi is, but he was upset. And so Gandhi was obviously a really chill guy, but he was upset. He did it in his own way. He addressed it in his own way. And the impact that it had not only on himself, but the country of India was really awesome. So, starting off with a young Gandhi here, he was born on October 2nd, 1869. Alright, so from then, he was born into a religious background. Mom and dad grew up, went to law school in London, and decided to go back home, open up a practice, but he wasn't a very good lawyer. So he decided to stay in politics, still fight the law, but do it in a different way. And so he became, with his wife, he moved to East Africa, and so there were a lot of Indian immigrants out there. So he joined the movement and decided to come up with what was known as civil disobedience, but is passive resistance, more so popular. All right, so after fighting the fight in East Africa for a while, there were matters of injustices upon the Indian people back in India, so he went back home in July of 1914. So from then, he led the movement against the British authorities against the Rowlatt Act. So that was what they were fighting. That was the Parliament was, so basically, in India, if you were a suspect of terrorism, on the spot, you could be sent to jail without a trial. And so people were getting screwed. And so he was not happy, so they were revolting, I guess, in their passive way. And Gandhi, something we might not know is that Gandhi wanted to go to jail when he protested. So he wanted to make that I guess, move so that people knew, like, this is serious, we're here, we're going to make a change. And so he got arrested, but his group members did not. And this is a really big foundation of group members. So they rioted, and people were killed, and Gandhi was mad. So he said, one of the things he said when he addressed them was, "A sword run through my body could hardly have pained me more." So the first thing he did, well, let me give you a little background for this too. As soon as he got released from jail, he had plans to go to another city and continue his resistance. But upon hearing that, he completely just ditched that idea. He gathered his people together, and he addressed them. And the first thing he said was, this can't happen ever again. So he would try to bring them kind of back together and align that vision that kind of put them in the first place. So after that, he said, we gotta neutralize our error here. So he says, we gotta give back to the community that we basically kind of tore down. So he said, the actions or the payments that he pressed upon them was, they took weapons, they stole them. So he was like, we need to give them back. People died, people's families were impacted, so he said we have to pay them at least 8 annas, I think was the word, but that was their currency, to kind of, like I said, make it a little better. And obviously they fasted because that was a really big part of their movement. But Gandhi asked them to do that and gave himself a little assignment as well. He said, "This has been more painful to me than a wound, but this penance is not enough. And I have therefore decided to fast for 3 days." And this is an actual picture of Gandhi in a fast. This is not this fast, but this is him fasting. So the context of the speech is really powerful because, like I said, he does this in his own way, and he's he's polite, and he's concise, concrete, and he expresses himself very clearly. Nice to read, but it's such disappointment, it's embarrassment. He's disgraced by his people, and so like I said, he had plans to go to Delhi right afterwards and get arrested there. And he's like, how am I supposed to get arrested there if you guys don't even have my back? So like I said, not like that, obviously. But here we go. So he said, he stayed, he fasted, and he just really wanted to let people know that he was sorry for his people. And so whether he knew it or not, him doing this, him focusing on this, made the world focus on him. Because this really showed the transcendence of his leadership and how he wanted to incorporate it. And I mean, he didn't want people who were on his side being a hypocrite. So he said, "If deeds such as these could save me from the prison house or the scaffold, I should not like to be saved." So he'd rather sit and rot in prison than be around a bunch of hypocrites. So the impact. So from that moment, after that, he continued. He was Gandhi. He did the fast. He protested against the British authorities until he retired from politics in 1934. But he returned in 1946, which was after the World War II. And the biggest thing that he was after was to get India to separate and partition from Britain. And on 1947, that happened. And so that all started with him. He was the face of the Indian movement of independence. And then, moving forward, he was named the father of India. And he's recognized today for making all the changes, for getting India to where it is. And unfortunately, he was trying to get two sides to come together and be as one, the Hindus and the Muslims, but someone on his side was enraged with what he had to say, and he was assassinated. So, not a good ending, but this speech in Ahmedabad was really important because this, like many of the other great leaders of our nation, this was his defining moment. This elevated him as the Gandhi. Thank you.